Good evening, everyone. This is the Prosperity Livestream Q&A for October 28th, and I'm your host, The Solver, also known as The Chang. Welcome everyone who has joined us. Today we will be looking at Prosperity's latest build. So this is running directly off of my machine, the development machine. And we are going to continue our adventures of Dr. Manhattan in the city of Elwood. So last time we stopped this game after we reached the village level, and so we're going to continue from there. Alright, let's take a quick peek here what's going on. I have some general laborers. Oh, that's the bell to tell me it's now January. Brand new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Let me send an explorer. How are we doing down here? Warehouse. Cool. So we need a lot more workers and a craftsman's guild. Let's take a quick peek. Alright, workers were at the limit, so I'll definitely get some buildings, housing. Here's the craftsman's build and craftsman's guild. Let's see costs. Okay, we are really short on money. Bricks, granite, marble. Ooh, these ones are gonna be a little bit tough. Alright, let's take a look. Trading. Oh, executive decisions. More workers? Hell yeah. And festival. Let's do a prosperity festival. Oh, I know. Where's my music? There we go. Crying Over Bread by Lith. Lith is actually, he was a co-worker of mine, where I work my full-time job. And he's a very talented musician, and he volunteered to produce this for me for Prosperity. So if you're listening to me, Lith, thank you very much for this piece. Just going to check something really quick, make sure that my artist information is there. Okay. So I am going to be jumping between playing the game and coding every now and then. If you are having trouble seeing the code or understanding what's happening, just let me know in the comments. Actually, I just remembered this is the new feature that I'm currently working on. You might remember last time I started working on the code for this concept of experts. So here's what it looks like at the moment. We have a number of existing experts now. I've been playing around with it. The idea is these are, I guess, just special villagers that you have to hire, so they cost coin. And over time, they level up, and each time they level up each time they produce something. So these artists are creating works of art, and the works of art, well, they add to the aesthetics of certain buildings, like here, the garden, the town center. And the idea here is, do you remember that when we're trying to get to the village stage, it was really, really difficult to get those aesthetics points? And the reason is because aesthetics is based on the average across all the buildings you have. So that meant there was a kind of a cap on how many buildings you could have before it just became impossible. So at the near the end of our last live stream, what I did was I removed a lot of buildings that were negatively influencing aesthetics in order to get that final average amount over the requirements. Yeah, I did not like that design very much, and that's kind of the inspiration for the new artist system. And you might see down here that we also have something called innovator. I haven't really thought this through yet. Just wanted to have something in there to remind myself to work on it at some point. So similar to artists, I think an innovator would be someone who produces, well, experience or something like that. Maybe even tech points. I should probably change this description here. The numbers have been increased to 1,000,000 and 500,000 respectively. Let's do that real quick, and I'll show you guys how I change the description on text. So that was a tag in the industry. So industry definition of technologies for the underground vaults. Alright, let's increase this to 1,000,000 capacity and 500,000 granary. Food capacity. Alright, now the game will automatically recompile, and we can reload it and see if this has been changed. There we go. Alright, so Hey, welcome everyone joining the live stream. So I admit that part of the reason I am doing the sprint today is because today is the start of the Steam sale, the Steam Halloween sale. Unfortunately, I could not push my updates out before today. I have the civil policies tab, but it is empty, and the resource policy tab is only got one thing. I could probably improve this UI a little bit. Maybe. So granite. Let me see if I can buy granite from anyone. Granite. Oh, marble. I can buy marble. Do I have money? Maybe. Let's see. How much would 500 set me back? $746? Yeah, I can probably do that. Go ahead. Wheat fields. I should probably unlock this before the start of spring. See if we can build some wheat fields. There we go. Wheat farms. Oh man, that's a huge queue. Let me assign some more builders. I should probably have something here to tell you how many simultaneous masons. Oh, sorry, how many simultaneous projects can be done at the same time. Because these houses are taking a long time to get built, eh? So what I'm doing now is I'm actually moving the wheat farms to the front of the queue, because I think it'd be really nice to have them available for the start of spring, which is coming in 14 days. So hopefully at least this wheat farm will be ready. So these are the special projects that you can do as and they're different from your normal projects because they require workers and a cost to start. They also come in 3 phases where you have setting up, ramping up, and production. So in general, they take quite a bit more time. However, this is one way to get resources that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. For example, planes space, right? This is actually adding space. And this one in particular, like this one and this one, they actually came from the Explorer, which I know is not actually described anywhere on here. I should do that. I should add a little description of where it came from. Otherwise, it might be a little difficult to understand. And I'm thinking, so here is a newer one. No, wait, this is an older one. Here's some of the newer ones. Yeah, these numbers need to be modified. 3,000 more space. Whew, that's a lot, especially for such a cheap cost to start. I also think that with respect to the amount of coins required, I want to change it a little bit. So right now, if you're wondering why these values seem kind of arbitrary, it's because on top of the estimated production, there's also a there's an inflation factor that goes into it. So over time, so this game has been running for 11 years now, and there's a little bit of inflation going on at roughly 2% per year, or maybe less than that. I'll have to look that up. And the idea is over time things become more expensive, but you can sell things for more money as well. So I'll show you how I set the cost of, for example, this project right here. Let me come back here. Let's do which one is this? This is part of the Explorer, which is a job. So we go here, Explorer. Okay. So Explorer, find new land. This is the function that generates the projects. Alright, generate land clearance project. The gold cost is currently base of 50,000 times, oh, it's based on your tier. I see. So the further you're into the game, the more expensive it will be. I really need to amp up what the base cost is. Based on my experience, it should be you know what, let's do a simple double. Alright, so now it will start at 100 silver as the base. 1.15 to the exponent of your tier, which is going to range from 0 for the very beginning to, I believe, 5. And multiply that by the inflation. Alright, I do like inflation, but I don't like it that much because it makes the numbers really weird. So what I'll do, is, so it's rounding based on this already. I'm going to divide this by 100 and then multiply by 100. So this will round it to the nearest 100 pieces. Actually, let's do 1,000. So now it's rounded to the nearest silver. So this is the base amount for each piece of land that will be generated per tick, and by reducing the base amount, it's the simplest way to reduce the overall amounts that will be produced. So I'm going to save this and come back here, save the game real quick, and it's going to restart. Okay, so now the game is being reloaded, and let's load up that game again. And what I'll do now, I'll do a little bit of a cheating thing. First I'm going to remove these ones. So you see the amount of space is like roughly 3,700, and the cost to start is at roughly 83, 84 silver. And what I'll do is I'll remove these projects here, and I will generate them. This is my trusty game console, and I'm going to do a little cheats dots city util dots generate land clearance projects for the current game state. All right, and that generated, oh, hold on a second. Generated but not added in. Okay, generates and then project util have to add it. So let's do that again. Cheats dot project util dot add game state. All right, so we're going to execute add game state, and then the project function, which is being returned, sorry, the project object, which is being returned by this function here, which also takes in the game state as a parameter. All right, let's see what happens. Ah, here we go. Oh, the playing space, look at that. Now it's a paltry 850. And you're wondering, why is it so much smaller? And okay, the cost to start is now increased and rounded. See, it's rounded to the nearest silver. And the reason is because we do this little exponential thing here. Let me show you. Whenever we generate a project, we always have this basic amount. And the idea is the further along the projects, the further along you are in the production chain, the more efficient it becomes. So we have a basic production, which is the land amounts, but then we also have a scaling function. And we look at a special project, we have a scaling. So the default is 1.06. That means each day we will be about 6% more efficient than the previous day. We will produce 6% more. So because of this compounding, a small change in the initial amounts has a rather big impact on the final amount. All right, so 850. This seems a bit more realistic. All right, it's going to cost us 180 silver. That's most of our treasury. Not bad. Actually, let me check. How much is 850? Sorry, 180. What is equivalent to 180? Let's go to trade. Let's find out. Let's sell some resources. What's 180? 180 silver, mind you. So let's compare with something that we have a lot of. Firewood. All right, firewood. Well, each firewood is roughly 12 now. So 180,000 divided by 12. 15,000 firewood. All right, so 15,000 firewood. Ooh, but commission is at 13%. All right, let's bump that up to a nice 18,000. There we go. 180 for silver is roughly 18,000 firewood. How long does it take to produce 18,000 firewood? Let's check our ledger. Oops. Firewood. Okay, in the last 10 days, we had a net production of 6,000 firewood. So it takes about 1 month to produce a necessary amount of money through firewood to do this project. That still seems kind of cheap, doesn't it? Yeah, it kind of does. Alright. Let's up the cost again, because I feel like this land is very valuable, because if you look at some of the alternative ways to get land, one is by going up in tiers, but another one is, a comparable one is a watchtower itself. So a watchtower adds 1,500 plain and 600 forest. So let's call that 2,000. Well, it's 2,100 space in total, which let's round it up to 2,400. It's about 3 times more than this, but the cost is much higher. 400 firewood, 600 fur, 1500 iron and 2500 lumber. Let's do the math here real quick. All right, let's do firewood 400, fur 600, iron 1500, lumber 2500. All right, just so I remember. Let's sell this. So what was that? Firewood 400, fur 600, iron 1500, and lumber 2500. Actually, there you go, 165 silver. The value was 165 silver for all these things, and we're getting almost 3 times the value. So let's up the cost a little bit. Let's increase it. Let's double it again. So now it will start at 200 silver, and it will increase by 15% per increase in tier. Yeah. I don't know if any of you have watched a video by Sid Meier from, he's the creator of Civilization, which is one of my favorite game series ever. And one thing he said is, when you're trying to balance things, try doubling or halving things. That way the effects will be immediately visible. That's something balance is something I've always struggled with, partly because I do things the hard way, I guess, and I like to introduce new features to balance broken things. So I've been forcing myself lately to follow Sid Meier's philosophy and doing something simple. Let's double the cost. Let's half the effects and do a little bit of math, to think like how a player might think. That kind of thing. But having said that, a lot of these numbers here that you see, a lot of it came from just years of data that was collected through testers, gamers. A lot of the base values came from the web game, actually, because in the web game, all of the data is saved online in a database that I have access to. So I was able to run some very interesting queries. For example, knowing how many people got to a certain tier of the game. So how long did it take them to get to town? How long did it take them to get to city? As well as the major special buildings. They're kind of like wonders, I guess. And this data gave me an idea as to how long certain milestones in the game took. And I kind of balanced this game based off of the insights from that game. Having said that, the games play very differently now. I know a lot of people were wondering what is the difference between the web version and the PC version. And obviously you see the graphics is very different, and the UI works differently. But there's a lot of similar concepts, like redistributing workers depending on the time of the year. The Steam version has a lot more complexity to it because it's a lot more powerful, right? There's a lot more parallel systems. For example, locust swarm, right? Here we have an event that it tracks locusts, and we're tracking information about rainwater, snow depth, soil saturation, how much evaporated yesterday, how much of that rainwater is being how much moisture is seeping into groundwater, and even how long a day is. Right, all this information. There's just so much more details in the Steam version of the game. And one of my favorite things is the ability to upgrade individual buildings. And a lot of people think this is a little bit underwhelming at the moment, and I completely agree. It's because you just buy everything, right? Why think about it? But I'm also moving away from that. Certain buildings, such as the garden here, the garden has 4 available upgrades, but each garden can only upgrade 2 slots. Now this works for a garden because you can only have 10 gardens, so you can be a bit more strategic about which upgrades to get for which garden so that you can balance your economy a certain way. Because if you look at it, this is for aesthetics, more aesthetics, but then wait, here's a stall. This is for making money. So it's different, right? You could, since you only have 2 upgrade slots, do you go for something that's more expensive, like this one? 750 silver coins at this stage is pretty expensive, right? It costs granite, which is really difficult to get, compared to something cheaper like a pond, which is just lumber and stone block. So over time you might want to demolish this upgrade and then build a fountain instead of on top of the pond or something like that. Actually, you know what I want to do? I want to make a gazebo even better. +5 aesthetics is cool, but I think a gazebo should also add 1 more artist slot, and a fountain with a gazebo. Maybe have some synergy between them. Maybe a fountain plus a gazebo would increase something else, happiness, awesomeness, maybe for the arts. You know, we have a gazebo with a fountain. That's a beautiful idea, isn't it? I wonder how I would do that, actually. I have to think about it. Oh, that was amazing. Okay, I love that. I love how when the music ended, the rain came. That was amazing. So personally, I love sounds. I love music, and the one of the main reasons why I created all this right here is to realistically generate patterns in, well, weather patterns, so that there will be wind, there will be rain, there will be thunder, and I really wanted to have this ambiance in the game. because I feel like the the game's music is great. I love all the composers who created this beautiful piano melodies and calm, soothing music, but I wanted to add a layer on top so it's not just any other soundtrack, right? That you could actually hear the world. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wanted to use sound to make this world feel more alive. You know what, that reminds me, some people have asked me about the military system and how close we are to actually releasing the military system. And I'm sorry, I haven't actually been working on it lately. Oops. Well, that's not entirely true. There's one thing I did do. So one thing I added is that each of these nodes, if the node is a castle, a citadel, fortress, then it will have a garrison will be generated. So in these places, like Elwood is your home city, of course you can train units here. And the idea is that instead of units just randomly going to one of these battalions, it will always go to the garrison battalion, and then you could redeploy it from this garrison battalion to, say, there, like that. There we go. And the upkeep changed as well. So a garrison battalion cannot be ordered to move or attack like the other ones, so they stay there. It's kind of nice because it guarantees that you always have a battalion on hand, even if it's an empty one. There's a record for the battalion there, and that makes things a little bit easier for development. So, for example, when we're training units, it's guaranteed that there will always be a battalion to put the units in. And one thing I'd like to change, one thing I'd like to do, improve, is to make garrisons cheaper to upkeep, because you cannot order them around. So maybe they should be half the cost to upkeep. You know what? I think this. I just noticed that here it says 2 builders working, but what I don't like is that we have 1 mason that can work on 2 buildings. I mean, it makes sense that these houses can only have 2 people working on them. I feel like there should be a tech to allow for even more builders to work on something, right? Maybe that mason multitasking should also allow more builders working on the same building, 50% more, to follow Sid's philosophy. Let me see if we can do something about that. Mason multitasking should affect the rate at which buildings are created. Building to work? No. Progress? Not helpful. Let's see. Let's try the building service. Step. Max builders. Alright, get max builders for building. Cool. But I want to add a modifier here. If tech util is unlocked, then max builders times equals 1.5. Oh, but we don't want a fractional over person, right? That would be ridiculous. Let's do this. No, round. Perfect. So now when Mason multitask work is unlocked, we increase the max builders. And let's change that. Uh-oh, that was in civil. To compensate for divided. Now should it be 50% or should it be a fixed number? Let's do a +2 instead of 50%. And the reason why I want to do 2 is I want to think of them as foremen. And this also makes it so that if something requires only one builder, well, now there's 2 foremen for that one builder. Good enough for now. Let's see what craziness this does to the game. Alright, what kind of craziness have I done? Alright, so houses, now there's 4 builders working on each building. Cool, that's intended. You know, there was 2 before, and because of Mason multitasking, we added 2 more. How about we try something else? Let's add this flour mill to the front, right? Flour mill to the front. Alright, let's take a look. Flour mill. Alright, 6 builders working on this flour mill. 4 days ETA. Not bad, not bad. Let's get some people working on the wheat farm, eh? Oh, not in the current season. Okay. Doesn't say which season. Let me change that. Does this explain? Grows and harvest vegetables. Really? Okay. Let me, again, improve the quality of life a little bit. Let's go to jobs. Alright, let's take a look at orchardist. Vegetable farmer. Wheat farmer. Oh wait, wheat farmer does not do spring. Wheat farmer only does summer and autumn. Space. Save changes. Hello Paragon Deku. When are we going to get one more Mason? Soon. Okay, there is a storyline that was created to get you Mason Monty's brother, Mason Markey. In the previous live stream, we encountered Markey, and there was a quest. The quest is to do this. So the city of Madawaska needs repairs to its citadel. If you can donate some resources and time, Mason Markey will join your village upon completion. So if you take a quick peek here, we are short on money and builders. So we'll have to raise some capital. And let's increase the number of builders we can have, right? Builders. Let's do that. You know what? I think this will be fun today. Let's see if we can increase the number of builders by adding a couple more builder huts. I'll move into beginning. And we need money. Money. I got plenty of seeds. Let's sell. Alright, 497 silver. Sweet. Some more firewood. It's summer. We don't need firewood anymore, right? People can just throw their food on a warm rock or something. But it is summer, so I'll get people to work in the wheat farms. And dig clay. I need clay. Lots and lots of it. Clay is a... I already built one. Let's add another one. Alright, so 1 AU. What do we need? 2 AUs. Oh man. Alright. Executive decision. Sell my stones. Stones can make quite a bit of money. 302. Let's see. Some more firewood maybe. Half of it. A bit more. And oh, I'm sure my forests are doing fine. Let's go ahead. There we go. Seed bundles are down. 2 AU, 527 silver. And let's check our ledger real quick for coin. Alright, last 10 days we're just making bank. Battalion upkeep. Construction costs, military. Wait a second, why is there 2 entries? Interesting. I think I might have double spent. That's not cool. Taking my precious money. Alright, I can now have more builders. 23 builders. Alright, can we do it? Can we... 50 general laborers. Oh, frick. Alright. No more hunters. We don't need hunters, and we don't need as many gatherers. There, 75 general laborers. Let's start this project. There we go. So what you're seeing now, we started the project for repairing the citadel. So we sent the general laborers and the builders. Actually, now I want to see if this Alright, so 0 builders. Oh, is this going to be affected? It should be. There, pause due to insufficient workers. I should highlight that real quick. What is that one? Pause due to insufficient workers. Okay, cool. So there you go. Now I know I must keep at least 50 general laborers and 20 builders. Now, in case you're wondering, for those of you who have purchased the game on Steam, you are able to play pretty much everything I have showing you right now, including the new Mason Marquee quest. All you have to do is enable beta, and I can... so for those of you who have it on Steam, what you can do is like right-click on the game, go to Properties, and then go to the beta tab and say you want to be in on the beta, and that should there we go. There we go. So when you open up the game properties and go to beta, you can say beta build. Beta builds for testers. Anyone can be a tester, honestly. And once you have that done, selected, you will be able to play the beta. Now the beta is called beta for a reason. It has not been fully tested. And by fully tested, I mean sanity tested. So this is the version of the game that I am currently working on, and I do some basic testing to make sure that it is compatible with older saves, but there's no guarantee that it won't corrupt an existing save file. Oh my goodness, what happened? Is this not actually restarting? Oh my goodness, it's not restarting, is it? Alright, let's find out why this is not restarting. Buildings. 4. I wonder it's because I have all these buildings here. No, but it worked the first time. Alright, let's find out. So the project is going to try to start a project every single tick. So I'll show you here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so when we step through the project, it says, all right, here is the project. This one is land clearance. We don't want that one. We want the other one. There we go. Madawaska Citadel project. All right, so the project is started, true, and it's not paused. Oh, wait, it is paused. So what happens when we step through here? Next line. Oh, we just go right down to the end. That's not cool. So why is it paused? It is paused because there are insufficient workers. Well, duh, because I'm not gonna check until down here. Uh-oh. All right. So let's fix this. So this is the bug. So to start a project, and when we're stepping through the project, all right, each day, if it is not paused, well, that's dumb, because if the project is started, you know what? I should do something else instead. If sufficient, I need to know if the project has sufficient workers. So if it's insufficient, then we're going to pause the project still. And then in the next step, okay, if project.paused, it is paused because projects, what do we have here? Projects paused reason. And the reason is there are insufficient workers. Then we should check to see if we have the sufficient workers. And if so, continue. If it's paused for any other reason, then maybe it should stay paused. All right, let's do that. And not project.paused, or project is paused and pause reason is insufficient workers. There we go. Fun little Boolean logic, right? So project has been started and project is not paused, but if it is paused, then the pause reason better be insufficient workers, in which case we will come down here to check if we have sufficient workers and reassign them to the project. All right, let's do a save. Come back here. Oh, my debugger is still stuck on this step. Save my game. Arston, yes, you made a very good observation. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Seems the automatic, seems there was a bug in the logic. All right, let's take a quick peek now. Special projects. Pause due to insufficient workers. All right. Well, it is no longer paused, right? Let's find out. You know what? I should change this logic a little bit more and also change that UI. So in the projects card, we have that paused pause text due to this. Check the states. How often do we check the states? Interesting. Because if we inspect this piece of code here, all right, given this project, line occurrence, oh no, not this one again. All right, for this one, started true, paused true. Interesting. So if there are sufficient workers, if sufficient, then continue. Oh, you know what? If it's sufficient, then we should make sure that the pause and the paused reason has been removed. And I'm also going to modify this logic a little bit too, just to make it a little bit clearer. So you might have noticed that a lot of times I don't actually know where everything is in the code. I have to do a lot of searching. Unfortunately, that's just how things are with a more complex game. You eventually get to the point where it just becomes difficult to maintain thousands, I don't know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of lines of code. You can't really remember where everything is. And that's when it's very, very important to have consistent naming and to have consistent practices. So, for example, I had a similar function called step across different aspects of the game. Every single simulation, every single processor of the game, including the project processor. And because it's consistently named, it's easy for me to, well, sort of easier, to look for things in the code using a search function. I'm going to increase the speed because I want to actually show you guys what happens when Marky shows up, because it's so exciting. I actually want to test to see what happens when Marky shows up, because, spoiler alert, he's supposed to bring some additional capabilities to the town. I know, it's so exciting, right? More bugs for me to find. Did you guys hear that? The barking? That's something new. Yes, I added dogs barking to the game. It happens on warmer days. It's all part of the ambiance. Wheat? Oh, wow. That's a lot of wheat. Let's get some millers in there. So you might have noticed that the wheat farm can have 26 builders working on it at the same time. Unfortunately, this is the downside of my algorithm. So the number of workers scale based on the size of the property. So wheat farm being extraordinarily large. How big are we talking about? 320 space. The algorithm automatically assumes that you can have almost as many workers on it as you possibly want, which I guess is kind of true. I mean, if you think about it, someone's got to be putting up all the fences and maybe building a shed. But it's just funny to think that we can have so many people working on this. Alright, we're just ripping through this now. Alright, so we're at 5 out of 35 days in the production part. Now this project here doesn't actually produce anything, but we are fixing up their citadel, which is awesome. You know, they're gonna love us. Well, they're gonna love us enough to let us take their mason. Miners have discovered a deposit of marble. Oh, here we go, here we go. Marble. So I can spend almost one whole gold piece to obtain 500 marble this way. And 10,000 wood. That's a lot of wood. Well, you know what? They are digging pretty deep. In my mind, what was happening is they built a scaffolding that uses the mining tunnels because they found this deposit of marble. And what they're doing now is they're extracting it slowly with, I don't know, pulleys or some kind of shaft. And that's why it takes so much money and resources to extract. Oh, hey, marble, 500. Let's take a quick peek. How much does it cost to buy marble again? Because I remember we just ordered some earlier on, 500. So 500 marble now costs 756 on the market. Wait a second. 756, but this one's gonna cost 975. This is not actually worth it. Is that interesting? So, not every project is actually worthwhile. Alright. I'm gonna turn off this town bell thing. Sorry, it's getting a little bit annoying to me because we're on fast mode now. So now a month is like couple of minutes. Oh, I need to fix that too. See, I removed this section here for marble and stuck it in the special projects. And the reason I want to do that is just to have them all in the same place. Oh wait, that thing finished. The fixing up the citadel. Alright, it's supposed to have triggered something. Let me check. It did not trigger, did it? Alright, let's find out what's supposed to have happened. That project was called the... Alright, sometimes I don't remember everything. Oh, wait a minute, this was in special events. So let me go to my events folder. And I know that has something to do with masons. Quest for Marquis. Public Works. Madawaska Citadel Project Complete was supposed to have triggered. So, did it trigger? Let's find out. Cheats.events util dot is triggered game state. No, it was not triggered. Why didn't it trigger? Is it scheduled? Nope. Let's find out where this is supposed to have been. On complete events, we need to trigger this. Is complete events actually done? Oh my goodness. Serious? Okay. So let me fix this. What happened is on finish, sorry, not on that. So this is the project that was supposed to be added. So when a project finishes, it goes through all this, right, to delete stuff. But part of it, actually let me check, is there a complete project? Step project, finish project, resume, pause, starts, remove. Cool. So we need to add a code here. If project dot complete events, then we're going to use the events util dot trigger schedule this events. This event ID is, wait a minute, event util. What do we do here? List gets do events. Oh. Process, mark triggered, watch, stop watching, is triggered, watch, add scheduled events. There we go. That's what I need to do. Because I only need to add one. Alright, so we're adding a scheduled event, which would require an event ID. So project.complete events. Countdown, let's set it to 1, and that shouldn't matter. Alright. Let's try this again. And we'll do a little bit of hackery, because... Oh, wait for the game to reload. So projects, once it's been finished, unfortunately it's done. So I need to remove the record of that project happening before. Or I suppose I could just call that event. Alright, so that's event finished, and it was supposed to have triggered this piece of code right here. So I'm going to add this. Oh, but complete event is something else. I'll have to look it up again. Cheats dots event util dot add schedule events. Game states, and this is going to be called executes. Let's see what happened. Oh, just gonna put this here so you can see it. Execute events. There we go. The Citadel project for Madawaska has completed. Hooray! And Monty's excited to be reunited with his brother Marky. Alright, sorry guys, I don't want to spoil this, so I'm just gonna skip through it. Mason Marky has joined your city. Amazing. If we go over to the buildings, now it says 2. Look at that. All that work. So now when let's add some housing. Let's add a whole bunch of hovels. Oh, are you kidding me? I don't have enough. What? Lumber. My goodness. Get to work, guys. I need way more clay. Stone cutting, sure. Gatherers. Extras of everything. Go, just go crazy, guys. Alright, but let's see what happens when I try to add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 3. But you see, all 3 of them are working. Why 3? Because we have 2 masons, and we have mason multitasking enabled. So there we have it. We have our second mason. Now, something did not happen that I was expecting to have happened is he was supposed to have unlocked a number of new things. Yeah, what are those new things? Alright, re-trigger the conversation, and we did this. So let's come back here. At the end of that conversation, we added the mason, and then we're supposed to have unlocked the monuments, smelter, air vents, and farmhouse lofts. So let's take a quick peek. Is monuments actually enabled now? One thing it should have actually done maybe is provided a notification. Maybe a pop-up. That would have been nice. When multiple things are unlocked at the same time, I like having a pop-up or something to really mark the occasion. Let's go back to the game. Under special, we should have monuments. Look at that. Now it's ridiculously expensive right now. 59 gold. I have 62 silver. And it wants 59 gold. So the monument right now is just doesn't actually do anything. All it says is +2 artist slots and 200 aesthetics, which is not what I wanted to do with the monuments at all. The idea behind the monuments is that it's going to be one of the buildings that produce a new currency called influence. Only I don't really want to call it a currency per se, because the idea behind influence is that it's something emanating from your town. So if you imagine some circles going out, this is like your culture, right? Here's your sphere of influence, and as it gets bigger and bigger, you're affecting more villages to feel more friendly towards you. So their influence, so you're going to increase your influence points, and once they're past a certain threshold, like at least if you're at least 50% influence and you have more influence than others, then they will also start emanating your influence. And one of the victory conditions that was planned for this game is kind of a global takeover when everybody's kind of following your culture. And of course it's going to be a Of course, you could do this through just building a ton of influence in your own town and being strategic about who you give gifts to influence their output of your influence. If that makes sense, to increase to increase your influence on them, so that they will emanate influence for you. Kind of a investment, relationship building type of deal. And the idea there is that, well, you're basically sending emissaries filled with gifts to, say, the city of Altona. And once arrives, maybe they will start liking you after so many gifts, and they will start emanating, and you'll want to, get the places that obviously have a lot of roads connecting to them, but also city centers. So the city of Madawaska would be a good place to get, and maybe some port cities like City of Nefton, Port of Nefton. Yeah, so that's kind of the things I think about when I'm working on the game. And the idea here is you're kind of building a cultural hegemony. Hegemony? I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that word. Oh, did I forget? I think I did not save my options the last time. This should be off. Unless there is something in the game that's turning it back on. Oh, that's sneaky. Alright, I'm gonna show you guys something. This painfully large file is what's known as a migration script. This is what migrates your game stage from an earlier version to a newer version. It's a pain in the ass to maintain. And I have to be very careful. So you see, I added the option to not ring the town bell. Alright. There you go. So this is what's turning it on. If game state options that sounds dot includes empty string? What? This is obviously weird. There should be town bell. So we can turn it off. Okay, there we go. This is the reason why after the restarts, the town bell started going off again. I hope that's fixed now. I'll save the game progress before the game restarts. Alright, we need a hell of a lot more housing. Housing, oh no. We're short on money and we're short on lumber. Curses. I'll sell more firewood. It's nice that we can always sell some firewood. Wait, it's autumn. Oh, December 11th. Sorry, 10th. Alright, how are we doing for food? 16 days of food remaining. Let's put as many people into food production as we possibly can right now, because I want to make sure we have the necessary resources to survive winter. Oops, back here. Forestry. Interesting. Our art's awesomeness from aesthetics increased to 7. Why is that the case? Maybe art's awesomeness from aesthetics is... Yay! I need to look into this. What's going on with art's aesthetics? Awesomeness. Aesthetics effects. It's based on the number of workers. So given so much aesthetics. Okay. I should get everyone to keep working harder then. More arts. Alright, I guess today I did not get far enough to build the Craftsman's Guild. No worries, I'm sure next time we can do it. And we need to like double the number of workers we have. So that means double the amount of housing we have. There's a few things I wanted to let you guys know. One is everything I've done today will be built into a beta release. Now beta for us is basically I need at least 2 or 3 people to go through the game. That's not me. Make sure that the bugs are mostly ironed out. If 2 or 3 people take a look at it and they don't see any glaring flaws, then we will promote the build to release, and then everyone will be upgraded to the latest. But again, if you have the Steam version, you can join the beta program and let me know in Discord if you would like to help out with beta testing. So thank you very much for your participation today. I've always had fun sharing this game with you, and I hope you enjoy listening to me talk about the game developments, and hopefully I answered your questions. If you have any other questions, please feel free to join me on Discord. The Prosperity channel is open for everyone. Alright, take care now, good night.